so let's start with our minutes. Are there any questions, any clarifications, any changes that anyone wants to make to the minutes?
No. They look good to me.
All right, then I guess we'll move on to our agenda items. Which brings us to our first thing tonight, the bus shelter project, which I am super, super excited about. It looks amazing. Meg and I drove around right after the installation and looked at all of them, and they look better than I had hoped.
Yep. So yeah, they're all installed. We did do a news release, which is probably how Lucas found out about the project. At our last meeting, we had talked about possibly doing some kind of ribbon cutting or opening event. And after working with our communications person here with the city, he suggested instead a news release. And then he also included it in his Middleton Minute interviews that he's doing. He did a teaser piece on 8/1, and then he also is planning to do something more in depth, which I think will likely be coming out soon because those Middleton Minutes are released twice monthly, once at the beginning of the month and once in the middle of the month. And then let's see, there from the news release that Brent sent out, it was on the Channel 3000 online website on 7/28. And then as an aside, there was a Cap Times article that was about the city's or the Dane County push to get a regional transit authority in place. And our mayor was interviewed for the piece, and they asked for a photo op with her, and so she opted to have her photo taken in front of the piece that is on University Avenue near downtown, which is Meg's piece. And I'm just going to stop share here for a second so that I can show everybody. Let's see. Can you see it, the picture? So that's the picture that was in the Cap Times. And I'll pass it around for the people who are in the room. You can find the article online if you want to see that. It's called "Can Dane County's Long Push for Regional Transit Get Out of Neutral?"
I would add that was also, the press release was also in the Times Tribune. I saw it in the Times Tribune last Thursday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else that we want to talk about with the shelters? Has everyone gone out and seen them or seen them in passing?
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they turned out really nice.
I'm so happy to have this project come to fruition after years of working on it. Good job, Abby.
Could you remind us how long it has been?
2.5 years.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was giving Lucas the background about how we had originally planned to do this on utility boxes, and that was what our initial call for artists was for, and then we had to pivot the project to the bus shelters.
Feels like longer than that.
Yeah, well, I think everybody who worked on the project did an amazing job, and seeing it through for that long is also a feat. All right, shall we move on to our second item then?
Sure.
Okay, so RFQs, I'm excited about this. I looked through the RFQs for the boat launch project, and I have to say I'm really impressed with the quality of the artists that we got. There are a couple of them that really stuck out to me though, that I feel like went along kind of with the feel of the project. But has everyone had a chance to look at the RFQs that came in for this project? Okay, well then let's go ahead and open up discussion about this. Sebastian or Meg, do you want to go ahead and kind of like give us a little lead into the project?
Sebastian, go ahead.
Sure. Well, I'm very excited that we made it this far. I know it took us a long time to get going. Um, the challenge from here on out, I think, is going to be to really holistically figure out of these applications who, as Michelle said, fits the best, who would match whose like style and approach would best match the space. I In looking at them, I think we're just going to have a tough time deciding. There are a number of really good contenders, especially ones that are even locally. I know let me just pull up here. Uh, I was impressed with Brandon Minga for sure. Um, and also with Daniela Bianchini, definitely. But I want to make sure everyone feels heard on this one and that everyone is able to kind of voice what they see and don't see. I absolutely don't want to kind of lead into it without really opening it way up for discussion and making sure that you all anything you noticed on the applications, anything that is tough. This is a tough process, and it's almost easier to figure out who we don't want first and figure out who we think isn't gonna work. And if we kind of start to feel lost or we don't have a good approach, we might have to come up with some kind of rubric of what criteria we want them, what did we say in the RFQ, what criteria were we looking for them to meet, and then grading them all on that and spending some time really in depth looking at each one.
Yeah, I think it will be hard. I would say that I really liked Mark Fisher, and I really liked, how do you pronounce the partner of Westfall, Abby? Is it
Paulus, I think.
I would like to see honestly what the combination of the two of them could come up with, because his metal work with her glass could be something really cool. And that is, that does have east and west light. If we positioned it right, the light could shine through the glass. But having said that, they all are very high quality artists. And I did like Mingo. Daniela Bianchini. I think that I liked her stuff, but maybe not quite as well. But I think you're right, Sebastian. We probably should go through the checklist of the RFQ so that we can narrow it.
Can I just say one thing? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I think out of this entire list, the only one that we specifically sent an invite to, personally, was Mark Fisher. And so that might be something that we want to consider. And the other thing is, if we're looking for height, I know is one of the criteria. I'm not sure that the mosaic tiles are gonna work very well for that. Just another thing to think about. Because it would have to be, I think for the cost, it would have to be very thin then to have that much mosaic tile if you're trying to get height so you can see it from the water.
Mm-hmm. The mosaic, right? That's Daniela.
Well, that's Mark Fisher. So Abby had originally sent out, I don't know, 10
I think it was around, yeah, it was around 10.
to specific artists that we were targeting. He was one of them. And then Sebastian had sent it through his work.
CodaWorks.
And so I think a lot of these other artists that we got were through that. So it's a little bit more of a generic call, you know what I mean? Right. So
We had researched indigenous artists.
right.
And we reached out to a couple of different groups and asked them to distribute it to artists that they know. And then we also had kind of done our own research and come up with a short list of artists that we thought might be
And
interested.
so Mark Fisher's the one Native American indigenous artist on the list.
Is that the one with the canoes? The canoe with the two
Yeah.
women?
The sketch, yeah.
The sketch,
Yeah.
And do you remember who referred us to Mark? Because I can't remember.
Someone that is on my list.
Okay.
that I can look at search for.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Just so you all on the Zoom know, I have all of the proposals here. I can pull them up as we talk if you're interested. I also have the RFQ that includes the bullet list of the criteria.
That's a good idea.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
First.
So for phase one, which is selection of the 2 finalists, it says finalists will be selected based on the following criteria: public art experience, design excellence in past work, including originality of concept, site context, and quality of workmanship and materials as evidenced in images of completed projects, demonstrated ability in working with permanent materials appropriate for long-term exposure in an outdoor setting, and demonstrated ability to work collaboratively and positively with public agencies, public review processes, and/or community organizations.
That was one of the things that I was thinking actually about the mosaic is what would be the longevity and the maintenance of that one? I mean, would that be more high maintenance than some of the others like metal?
Which artist is the mosaic artist? I cannot recall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just
I
gonna
mean, it's
pull.
gorgeous. I just don't know what kind of this is the right.
So this is an outdoor setting with snow, so probably similar.
Well, and I mean, I like her work a lot, but I don't know if it is best for this project. Or something maybe in a more protected space if we did something, you know, in the future.
It'd be so cool if she could do this on the outside of the pool.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how much that would cost though.
This piece
But
is
yeah,
really
it- it's
impressive.
amazing.
Yeah. This is the one outside of Target in the Twin Cities, I think.
Is it? I love it.
There.
It's so cool.
Maybe it's, let me see.
But yeah, and if our goal is to be visible from the water, I just don't know.
Oops, why
how
did I
this is
stop
going to
sharing?
look like.
Was that one of the criteria?
I don't know. Is it in the criteria?
No, that was not in the criteria.
It's just.
Yeah, it gives a.
No,
It's not a bad idea. It's
I
not
never
a
go on
bad
the water
goal.
though.
Did you have a photo that you were gonna pull up? Cause I can't see it.
Oh, I was just trying to pull, I did show some photos, that large scale mural by Daniela Bianchini, is called Everyone is Welcome at Target Field. So it's the Twin Stadium.
Can you share it on your screen so we can see it?
Yes. I think it was number 5. There you go. Can you see it, Michelle?
I can't see it. It looks like your cursor's frozen. That's what I see. Can the rest of you see it?
It looks like it's just loading.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's,
Is it maybe it's like sharing the window instead of sharing the
I think
full
you're
screen?
right. Hold on, let me, here we go. I'll just share the whole screen. Screen. Can you see it now?
There it is. Yep. Now it's showing up.
yeah.
My internet connection is unstable.
Is there a way I can like make a hotspot for you?
I'm on the city's wireless, so I don't know. I'm afraid it might disconnect the meeting.
Okay. Do we want to look at images of the others or do we want to, if you've all seen them, do we want to discuss just eliminate the ones that don't meet the criteria and then discuss the others?
Only, yeah, only sort of. I guess I didn't speak to me as much as some of the other ones. I really like. That's the last and
What was the question, if we're,
Michelle was asking if you want to go through and discuss each one.
We could also kind of grade them on our own over the next couple. I guess it depends on how much time we really feel like we have. If we feel like we have to do the selection today, then we probably should go through each one. But if you think we can like really kind of take our time with it, we can each individually grade the applications on our criteria and then come back next month and compare notes and see where we can find a consensus on it. And that way, it's a true kind of like a truly open process, or true, like everyone is going over everything and like assigning a weight and a score to like every candidate, and we're really thoroughly evaluating each one and making sure we do that. Like we won't get anything lost in the context of a committee meeting where we might not be able to see everything or look at everyone's details, everything they submitted.
We could do a doodle poll too. And then just list them. Everybody can kind of go through the criteria, look at the images, and then we can have a list of them, and then everybody could just like, pick their favorites.
1 to 10 for everybody.
Yeah,
There,
absolutely.
yeah.
As long as we keep the like criteria we published in mind and have that in the description of the poll, so we can kind of keep that in mind, I think that's okay. But I don't know if we'll have an easy time figuring it out today, like trying to say, oh wait, here's Jeannie's letter, she mentioned this, this, and this. It'd be tricky.
Yes, and I think it'll be time consuming too and eat up time for our meeting. So I agree if we could just kind of maybe everyone just takes their top 3 based on the criteria and sends it to Abby.
If you want, I
I'm
could.
just gonna chime in.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, please.
that's
Go ahead,
okay.
Billy.
Sorry, I'm like, I got my hand raised.
Sorry, I didn't notice. I'm sorry.
No, no worries. I was just gonna concur with Sebastian, and I really, my ears really perked up at the matrix format for decision. And I was wondering, Sebastian, if you and Meg would be willing to put up a very simple one for us to just use as a guide, because I don't have a lot of experience in assessing proposals, but I would like more time with these proposals to just think through it. Because I mean, I
Sure.
have got reactions to what my favorites are, but that's not exactly maybe the best way to use
Yeah.
my
Oh yeah. Well,
would-
it's important and like absolutely something that like you should go with your gut on a lot of this stuff. But one thing we would have like doing this, we would have to decide like first how strict do we want to follow the criteria, and at like a maximum level, I would say we would have to assign a point value to each
Yes.
criteria and say this is we could weight them evenly, maybe like out of 25 times 4, and then each criteria, the max would be 100 points in that scheme. We could also weight it differently if we think one criteria is more important than another. I think that's something we could all kind of work out in a meeting today and figure out which are the most important criteria if we want to favor one or the other, or if we want to not be so strict, consider the criteria when we're ranking the applications or sending in our favorites to Abby. This is kind of what we should, I think this is how we should kind of go about it. We should figure out what our scoring methodology is today, and then go off and do it on our own, and then compile results at our next meeting and really see who our kind of consensus picks are.
Right. I 1000% agree. And you're giving me flashbacks to engineering design. But yes, the decision matrix and especially the weights, I think that really helps narrow, just helps in the decision making, because the numbers will generally, concur with your opinion.
Yeah.
And so I think if we all are weighting on the same scale, it doesn't matter like what you decide the weight is, we'll all decide that collectively. But as you score each line, and add up the points, it'll be, I think, clearer. Like it's a good format.
I do want to say that I feel that we should stick pretty close to our RFQ, because what's the point of an RFQ if you're not going to adhere to it when you choose the artist?
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
I think
I
it's
do
just
feel like,
waiting.
I do feel like though those, we can decide which are more important.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do that now so that we can, and then we can, kind of revisit. We could also, if we need to approve something, we can hold a special meeting, just to get together and approve if we decide, we come up with something after we send our responses to Abby. Okay, so do you want to lead that then, Sebastian, the weighting of the criteria?
I'll propose something for it and then listen to your feedback. And if you this would be my first instinct. This is absolutely not like like super rigorous or strong recommendation, but my intuition looking at the criteria would be to weight like on 100-point scale, weight public art experience as 20 points, weight design excellence as 30 points, weight demonstrated ability in working with permanent materials as 30, and then weight demonstrated ability to work collaboratively and positively with public agencies as 20 again. That is just like my intuition and instinct on this, and like trying to make it very simple and easy for us to kind of score and conceptualize. It could even be like out of 10, like, well, actually, I think out of 100, I think is good and it allows for more flexibility. But that would be my suggestion to the committee for how we could go about it.
Okay, so, Abby, do you want to draft something up and send out an email to everyone, reminding them to keep that in mind when they're reviewing the artwork for the project?
I can just put together, I guess it would be a matrix with all 10 in Excel, if that's good with you guys. Let me just make sure that I got Sebastian's point system correct. It was literally the exact same thing that I had in my mind.
Cool, that's good. That means we're onto something.
What, do I have the first two correct? 20
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
30?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, yep. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's that like I I thought there was some overlap between public art experience and design excellence and past work, but they are still different categories. And working collaboratively with public agency, that's super important. But it seems like if you're good at the other categories, you are more likely to be good at that category, but that's not guaranteed as well. So I do think there's some like overlap in these where if you're very good at one, you're likely to be very good at another. But it is subtle, and I think there might be little differences, and you might be able to see maybe one candidate be less strong in one of these categories or more strong in another if you really kind of look into what they've put out and submitted. So that's my suggestion. I hope that, you know, if anybody else has any kind of strong feelings or has another idea on the methodology, absolutely, like, this would be a great time to let it out and let it fly and like see what we can come up with. But I think this is a pretty simple way that we can break it down and come up with like a good method to get a consensus after all looking at the applications individually.
The only thing I would say to that is that, I think it's a great idea. We did put in our RFQ, our tentative timeline was August 15th, we would select finalists. So I guess I would really stress that we need to do this quickly. Because we want to let the artists know, so they don't sign up for other projects in the same time frame.
Yep.
And I know personally artists that like wait for the deadline. Like they want to know like right away. I have a friend who just like proposed a mural at the Willie Street Co-op and was like literally like waiting to find out that day whether they got it or not. So we can get this done in the next couple days.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Do it by Monday?
Yeah, by Monday?
do that.
I think we will still need to have a public meeting for the arts committee to vote on who the two finalists should be.
So we'd have to have like an extra meeting.
Yes, unless, if you want to stick to a tight timeline, there will need to be a public meeting where we show the scores publicly, and then have a motion and a second to recommend to artists and, you know, opportunity for committee members to debate and discuss.
Okay. And then at that time, do we take it to the common council or
So then at that
does that
time,
wait until we only have one?
that would be once we actually have one and the contract and the design and we know what we're doing.
Okay,
Now, I did put this on the last common council agenda to allow our alderpersons to comment on the project because they haven't seen it. And I had heard from one of our alderpersons that they were concerned about including artwork at this location. They had two reasons. One is that they really want to maximize green space at the property. And I said, well, you know, this could be very vertical. It doesn't necessarily need to have a large concrete pad. And maybe even it could provide shade, or it could be some other structure that you know, wouldn't really have a huge footing or foundation or base. And then the second concern that they raised is that it's just outside of the TIF district, which Bill and I both discussed prior to bringing this back to the arts committee. And the city doesn't typically include right of way, you know, public street right of way within a TIF district unless it's necessary for contiguity to other properties. And what is going to be a public park right now is street right of way. And so it's just barely outside of the TIF district, but when we reviewed the TID project plan, it specifically mentions the Lake Street boat launch area improvements. And so even though it was just outside of the TIF district, because it's specifically mentioned in the project plan, we both felt comfortable with having the 0.5% for arts, which is funded through TIF District 5, fund this project. But I will say that it ultimately will be up to the city council on whether or not they want to approve the project. Because everything that the arts committee does, you know, is essentially advisory to the common council. So that's why I thought it was a safer bet to take it there and hear from them if there's any feedback. And maybe there are a few ideas that they have that they would want us to pass along as design guidance to the artists too.
What was the deal with the remainder of the council? You said there was one person who raised concerns, but what?
Oh, yeah,
response-
so the meeting that I had scheduled it for, it ended up having to be canceled because we didn't have a quorum. So I put it back on the council meeting for next week, Tuesday night. So I don't know whether or not there are other city council members who share that concern. But I will find out on Tuesday, August 20th.
So let's go ahead and move forward with our selection matrix so that we're prepared. And then if the council has changes or concerns, then we can address that at that time. But I think that we should still continue to move forward.
Okay. Do you want right now to try to come up with, so if I send you the matrix tomorrow,
Yeah.
how long will you all want to fill out your matrix? So you're going to be filling this out for 10 artists and you're going to be filling in 4 scores. So there will be 40 cells that you're going to be filling out.
Can we all have it back by Monday, or do you need it sooner, Abby?
Well, I probably won't work on it over the weekend, so Monday's fine.
Okay, or do you need it on Friday if you're gonna include this in the council packet?
My council deadline has already passed.
Okay, all right then. So Monday works for
Monday.
everyone. Do we think we can get that done by then?
Yes.
5 o'clock in there.
Yep.
I hear the heads nodding that I can't see, right?
Okay, so then, if I have everything back by 5 PM on Monday, I can total everything up, and then when would you like to have a short special meeting where we can get a quorum present to discuss
Maybe after the city meeting?
after the council meeting?
Yeah.
You mean like the same night after, or do you mean?
I'm asking like, can it happen after, or do we need to know before the meeting?
I don't think we need to know before the meeting, so, the council will talk about it Tuesday night. And then, let's see. Could we meet on Thursday, the 22nd?
See,
It's just gonna be like a half an hour. Or what do you
what
I
time,
think the
like,
most.
what time are you thinking, Abby?
Um, whatever time works for you all,
You just do their normal time.
5:30 to
5:30?
6
5:30 to 6?
on Thursday, the 22nd.
In person or?
5:30 to 6. We can do hybrid, so you can zoom in. We could just do it on Zoom.
Yeah,
Let's
that'd be
just do
easier.
Zoom.
Let's just
Okay.
do Zoom.
Great.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
if you get a room.
Question for you, Abby. Two questions, actually. One is, in terms of the number of matrices you received, is it same as quorum? You need 5, or, just in case we have.
No, there is not going to be a minimum requirement
Okay.
because this is not going to be an official, it's
Okay.
still going to be an official meeting where somebody is selected. Now, there is one thing I just wanted to mention, which is kind of a little odd. And that is that on their council agenda for Tuesday night, there is an appointee being recommended. It's our new high school student representative.
Hmm.
And so I don't know, I mean,
For the arts committee?
yes, for the arts committee. So they should be invited to attend that meeting on Thursday. And it might just be kind of a weird first intro to the committee, like it's an off meeting, and also they wouldn't have participated in the matrix, but they could still attend to just kind of meet everybody and get a flavor for what the committee works on if you want.
Sure, invite them.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe hold their formal introduction for the next meeting just for time. But I think it's nice to extend the the view inside the process. That's just my suggestion.
Okay.
But the other thing I was going to ask you, Abby, is so the meeting where they'll consider this proposal is this coming Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay. And do you think that would it be good for us to attend, or, I mean, not to do anything, just to be there, I guess?
If you would like, then you could. You could also attend and speak during comments from citizens present if you want to introduce yourself. You're welcome to do that. It's
Okay.
limited to 3 minutes per speaker.
So shall we all go and speak for 3 minutes each?
I mean, I'm game. Do you want me to wear my sparkle jacket? No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
No, we should all wear our arts committee shirts.
Yes.
I think anytime you're on official arts committee business, you should be wearing that sequin jacket. All right, anything else about these RFQs? I think, are we all clear on what's happening?
I think so. I sent you all a calendar invite for the 22nd.
Thank you, Abby, and thanks for setting up the matrix.
No problem.
Great.
So then let's go on to the maintenance of the collection, and do we have any updates on that?
I do. I heard back from Dama on the Invisible Work, Invisible Earth mural, and they went back out again, tried to do restoration work. They also consulted with another entity that uses similar materials. And they said, unfortunately, the salt is going to continue to cause those bubbles. So it's not too dissimilar from what I think Megan Mackey had told us, that they can try to restore it as best as they can, but they said that they are going to keep coming back. So that's unfortunate. another maintenance item is that we did get the small stormwater mural repainted. That's the one that's at the corner of Hubbard Avenue and Parmenter Street in front of Grace Coffee. And they just kind of let us know that they were coming to redo that one. I did ask them about looking at the other ones, in particular, the one at Franklin and Parmenter Street. But they said that they had already made their plan for this year. But if there are particular ones that we want them to come out and repaint, that we can let them know and they can put it in their plan for next year. So that might be something we'd want to. It's actually also through DAMA, Dane Arts Mural Arts, but they collaborate with MAMSWAP, which is the Madison Area Stormwater Partnership.
Okay.
MAMSWAP, worst acronym ever. So yeah, it's DAMA's artists, but it's a partnership with MAMSWAP, and it's part of they call it the program, the Ripple Effects Project.
Oh, right.
So yeah, they do these storm drain murals all over the county.
So back to the mock mural, is there like a long-term plan, or we would just have to take it down?
I think at the point where we feel that the bubbles are so noticeable and egregious that they, are an eyesore, then I think we would need to decommission the mural and take it down.
So are we gonna have them go ahead and try to restore it and coat it?
They did do as much work as they could do
Okay.
for now. So I mean, to me, it's not really noticeable from afar.
Right.
You really have to go
I
up
was kind of
close.
Hoping that I could like watch them, so we could like come up with like a way that we can fix it on our own, but of course
Yeah.
we have to get scaffolding, so I don't know.
Right, yeah, we did not really get any notice for when they were gonna be there. So I know like there was interest in a couple people going out and seeing it. I wouldn't have minded being there and taking a picture, but it was like the communication was not very fluid.
Hmm.
So it was, yeah.
You said that the mural over by Lycon was doing it too though, right?
I went out and I noticed that they were having some problems with that one as well, but that one's
There's
not
no
ours.
salt.
We don't maintain that. Yeah,
Is it the salt or is it the material that it's painted on?
that's a good question. I don't know. They definitely thought that it was the salt that was causing the bubbling.
And Meg thought that as well, right? Megan Mackey.
Megan Mackey, her initial read was also that, but I remember seeing maintenance problems on the Lycon one. Was it also bubbles though?
I thought you had said that. that was
I
from
think I
us.
sent you a picture of it when I was out there and now I'm forgetting.
Mhm.
But I'm pretty sure it was also bubbles, but that one is not ours to maintain. That's a private
Mhm.
project.
Okay, do we have any other maintenance items? All right, then, let's go ahead, I guess, and move on. To art walk planning. I have not set up a meeting. Because I've just been so bogged down with other stuff. Particularly election stuff because of work. So I promise I will get that set up. We started in October last year, so I will get that going. I will be gone most of the month of November. We're going to Madagascar, so I will probably not be available, well, I won't be available during that time to meet, so I would like to meet a couple times before we leave. So I'll get something set up, I promise. Youth Center project. I'm having a really hard time nailing people down. Fortunately, Julia came to my rescue and is doing our first 2 sessions. She's doing a cartooning class.
Thanks, Julia.
Thanks, Julia. Yes, you saved my hiney, for sure. So those start on September 5th. So she's doing September, October, and then I'm waiting to hear back from artists. A couple of them have been no's. So if you know anybody that you think might want to participate and teach a class, then just shoot me an email with their contact.
Michelle, Eric said yes to a harmonica lesson.
Oh, good.
So you can tell us what month and we'll get, I mean, I don't know if.
Awesome. Tell him thank you and I will email you.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Guys, the
Oh,
harmonicas
Oh,
and
Julia's hand's up too. Sorry, you
sorry,
were first,
Julia, go
Julia.
ahead.
stuff get reimbursed. So
Yeah.
like he would get paid for it.
Yeah, so it depends on how Abby wants to do it. Sometimes she doesn't want to be doing the
Oh, like
reimbursement
would she
stuff.
just try it?
Well, I just know that it's painful sometimes for how long it takes.
It takes, yeah, like a month or something.
I don't mind
Okay.
buying the stuff and then
Yeah.
just having it.
Yeah.
Did
Okay.
you put me down for a month, Michelle?
Meg, is that you?
Yes.
I have not yet. I'm trying to get some people to respond back to me. I still have 7, I think, to schedule. Do you have a specific month you want?
I mean, well, I had said, so I kind of have to work around the soccer schedule, so if it's in the winter, I'll be fine.
Okay, do you want to do November or December?
Yeah, either one's fine. Just fill me in where,
Could do some holiday stickery thing for December, maybe.
yeah,
Um. Yeah, if you would tell me which month you want and I'll stick you in there and then, if Eric wants to take either November or December, whichever one Meg decides not to take, then that'll get us through the rest of the year.
That's fine. Looks like Julia has her hand
Yeah,
up.
Julia, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you have a hard time filling a few more, I don't mind taking like another 1 or 2 at the other end of the youth art center. But whatever you need.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Also Melissa Berg was a potter at the art walk and she's a friend and a neighbor. And I asked her last year when we were in a pinch for the youth program. And she said, well, it's gonna take like 2 sessions or something, because she would take projects back to her kiln. And so if there's a stretch of a couple of months that you would like her to do pottery, she would be great.
I have already reached out to a potter and I have not heard back from her. She taught classes 2 years ago and she did 2 consecutive classes as well. And she did a hand building class. She took them and fired them, brought them back. The kids decorated and glazed them, and then she took them and fired them again, and then she brought them and dropped them off once they were done. And so I'm just kind of waiting to hear back from her. I will message her again and see, but I wanted to give her first crack since we had used her before. But if not, yes, could you, who was the artist again?
Her name's Melissa Berg, Berg.
Okay, and she's on our list.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I will make a note of that. And yes, and I will contact her if the first potter does not reach back out to me or doesn't want to do it. But thank you very much. I appreciate your suggestions. And Julia, I'm gonna make a note that you'll be my backup plan.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So that's pretty much where we are. We are paying them again $150 per class and plus supplies.
What did you say it was?
Pardon?
What is the payment?
$150 per class
Okay.
plus supplies.
for non-arts.
What's the what? Oh, supplies.
And so, and of course I can't pay the arts committee members because
Got it.
members can't be paid, but anyone else that we hire outside, that's the rate that we pay them.
Got it.
And essentially what happens is you have about 20 minutes for setup. They open the room at 20 till 4. The class goes from 4 to 5, and then you have tear down time. I think that the youth center closes at 6. So you have up to an hour for a cleanup tear down, which most people, don't need that long. And then, we have a new contact this year. Gabrielle is no longer the director. Now John is the director, and I've been working with him. And he is excited to have us come back and do these classes. So he is now our contact person rather than Gabrielle, for those of you who are doing classes again this year. I think that's all I've got on that. And I appreciate all of your help with this. Okay, so our next thing is discussion of website and social media, and we just set up a meeting for 10 o'clock on Monday, so we will have more to come. And that is Jolene and Beth and I. Okay, so that brings us to Elizabeth and our pop-up art for the remainder of 2024.
Yes, okay, so for pop-up art, we had on July 19th, the airport, what was that called again?
Rock the
Rock
Ramp.
the Ramp, thank you. We made paper airplanes with a bunch of kids. It was so much fun. Jolene and I were there. We each brought a teenager with us to help, which was very helpful because they were very good at explaining how to fold paper airplanes, so it was very nice.
Did the older who signed up show?
No, but they were at the event itself, but not at our booth. However, Mayor Kuhn came by our booth and was there for quite a while, saying hi to people, so that was lovely. And yeah, we had a really good time. I think our biggest concern moving forward for outdoor events would be, we'd love to have a canopy though. So that was what I was gonna talk to you guys about. We need a canopy, a wagon to make our lives easier, because otherwise I'm hauling stuff back and forth from a vehicle and, you know, carrying all the stuff gets to be a lot. So a canopy would cost about $350. A wagon would be around, if we get one of these, you know, that are from the Easy Up company, I was looking at about 164 plus tax, so it's 170.
We don't pay tax.
Okay, weights for would be $45, and Beth Browning found 6 stackable bins, so you can stack them right into the thing for about $30. So I'm looking at spending around $600 if we want to get the setup going. So I wanted to know, I have a budget right now to work with. We have a budget of $750. That will run me a little short though on supplies if I need to get like glue and stuff for the other events that we have. Do we have a little extra funds somewhere if I just run short?
Do you need this for the remainder of this year? Could we take this out half of this year's budget and half of next year's budget?
Yes, we could, because if we look at, all of our outdoor events have already occurred pretty much. Now
Okay.
the events we have are 3 indoor events. So if I use half the budget this year, and then as long as we can get it before the art walk in May, I would be happy. So.
So
Okay.
we wait on the canopy, you're saying, and buy the other stuff this year and then get the canopy for next year?
As long as
No.
it's before May, do you
We
think?
would get the stuff for next year, but half would come out of this year's budget and half out of next year's budget for the supplies.
Because anytime after January, or
Oh.
when do we start to buy things? Is it September? When's our budget?
It's the
deadline?
calendar year.
So it is. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you could buy it after January.
great. What would you guys prioritize then? You think the wagon and the weights and the bins now, and then get the canopy, like you said?
I would just
But
do the wagon and the weights now, because otherwise you're just gonna, or not
Yeah.
weights, sorry, the wagon and the bins.
Bins.
Oh,
Yeah.
The weights
Some of
aren't really useful right now, right?
Some of
Is that
the
a canopy?
Right.
canopies are coming with the weights.
Oh, okay,
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. You could check that one.
okay.
Do you need a table too? You mentioned a table
Yes,
last
I
time.
forgot. I need a table too.
Oh, maybe get the table now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the table,
Table bins.
bins and wagon, and you're saying you have it in your budget that we already approved, so it's not an addition.
And if you run out, I'll donate money for supplies for the projects.
I'm trying many
so
reusable
generous.
supplies too. What were you
Yeah.
gonna say, Jolene?
Yeah, here, just real quick, because I think that, Art Walk, we want canopy as well. So I'm wondering, Elizabeth and committee, that, does it all have to come out of the pop-up art budget? Because it'll be multi-use, if we use it amongst different, committee
Well,
functions.
we're gonna need 2 for Art Walk probably.
Mhm.
And so I feel like we can go ahead and designate this specifically to the pop-up art. And
Okay.
because the pop-up art will be at Art Walk. So they'll obviously be using it at
Right.
Art Walk. But I think it would be better to differentiate the 2. We can
Okay.
still get 2. We'll just take them out of different budgets.
Fair. And so then the other thing I was thinking is, could we coordinate purchasing? 'Cause Easy Up's a really like, if that's the company we go with, you know, they're kind of a great company as far as like service. I wonder if they would be willing to negotiate with us like on a bulk deal. Um, and the other thought is, do we want to do any customization, printing on the canopy?
I would rather we not do that,
Okay.
just because in case we do need to use it for something else. And we do already have a banner for the pop-up art. Two of the things that I'm gonna say is right now, those things are on sale at various stores around town on the internet because the end of summer is coming. We might be able to get a deal in which we can afford to buy both of them. So that's something we should be aware of. The second thing I wanted to mention is that I was just on the Dane County Buy Nothing Facebook page, and there were two really good condition folding plastic large tables for free. So I'm gonna suggest that we hit the Buy Nothing Facebook pages first and see if we can find some tables on there, because if they're practically new, then there's no sense in spending money on them.
They just have to be light enough.
Yeah, you can put like an in search of posts and say like folding.
Yeah.
Tables.
Somebody just posted a whole bunch of folding tables on Buy Nothing Middleton, but they were not the really lightweight
they were
ones.
like the old
They were
ones. I
super
saw
heavy,
that.
like the ones we have here.
Yes, I actually,
Mhm.
and I was like, no.
No, not gonna do it.
Commenting on
We
that.
need like the little like lightweight,
handle
like
one.
handle Costco one that folds like in half
Yes.
and like it's probably
Yeah.
$60.
Yes, that's what I saw was those two, the plastic ones that fold in half. That was,
Did you comment on it, Michelle?
what's that?
Did you comment on it?
I did not.
Do it quick before it's over.
No, it's gone. It was a couple weeks ago. I was looking for something else and I just happened to see them. But I'll keep an eye open and I'll go and search that site because sometimes there is stuff like that.
Oh, on Amazon.
On Amazon for like a lifetime.
Like a suitcase.
And then
Yeah,
the
that's
last thing I
nice.
just need to talk about with the pop-up arts is the 3 events that are coming up. So we've got September 28th. It's a Saturday. We're gonna have at Lakeview Park that Renaissance Fair for the first time that the library is putting on. So we're gonna do, I think, some floral crowns and some shields out of paper plates, things like that. And we will be inside the park shelter. They have a spot designated for us. If anybody wants to sign up for that, just send me an email, and then, or Abby, and she'll let me know. It would probably be set up at like 12:15. It starts at 1, it goes till 4. So this is again, the 28th of September. It's a Saturday. And then there's 2 other opportunities. Friday, October 11th from 6 to 8 is hunting for pumpkins through the Parks and Rec Department. We'll have an indoor table set up. You come at 5:30 to help set up and have it go from 6 to 8. Or Friday, December 13th is the candy cane hunt. Also through the Parks and Rec that we're partnering with, also inside Lakeview Park Shelter. So 3 opportunities. Again, those last 2 are 5:30 to 8 on a Friday, October 11th or December 13th. And the other one is at the park, September 28th, 1 to 4, set up at noon.
Do you have a sign up, Genius? Are they on, do you have?
I need to make one for these next few. I can surely do that though, easy.
Do you want to just make one for all 3 and then just put the
Yeah.
date and then people can sign up? You can share and people can sign up?
Sounds great, yeah.
Okay. All
That's
right. That's all that you had, Elizabeth?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for heading that up again.
Mhm.
So let's then move on to Jolene and special events. Do you have anything for us?
No major updates. Melissa had told me that there's a person who might be interested in hosting the events, and so we could just sponsor, and I am all for that. And I was just trying to look up what my budget was. So I think it was around, maybe it was 400 or 500, but if anyone has that in the notes, I'd love that.
I can find for you.
Oh, thank you.
This is the budget for the like open mic nights.
Yeah, or special events, yeah.
We barely
basically.
spent any. I remember last time it was really low, right? Or
Right.
maybe not.
Actually,
Okay.
Actually, I think it was nothing because I think I just comped the rental for I just covered the rental because why not?
Okay, I will find out. I will look back and find out and I will send it to you, Jolene.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. And just on a side note, I think it might be, I think the open mic nights are cool too. And I don't have anything in mind for this year, but for next year, just since doing these special events like the Bubbles and Beats was fun. So I just think it might be interesting to put maybe one more thing together, but I'm still cooking it up.
Okay.
But within the budget and hopefully, no labor needed from the committee. So.
Since we're on this topic, Abby, what's the status of you perhaps getting someone full-time that's for the shared position? Has that been determined yet?
No, I had the discussion with my plan commission at their, let's see. So it was this meeting was canceled. So it was at their July 23rd meeting. And then I submitted it to HR, but we haven't started any of the budget deliberation meetings yet. So I don't know. At some point, our city administrator and finance director working with the mayor will release a recommended budget. And so I think that's probably where I'll find out whether it's ranked highly. I think departments are still working on their other capital and operating budget requests. The deadline for that is tomorrow, so they don't know really the full picture of the requests yet, but I did submit it.
Okay. All right. Anything else with special events? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Don't need one. Yeah, we don't need one.
Don't need one.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that you don't need that anymore. All right then. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.